This is Evel Knievel and the Evel Knievel shock-absorbing stunt cycle. You can make him do wheelies, back stands, even mid-air somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evel, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evel Knievel, sold separately or with the Evel Knievel stunt cycle from Ideal.
Welcome everyone to the Toy Tune Podcast, where today we're going to talk about the quintessential 70s toy of my youth, the Evel Knievel Stunt Cycle by Ideal. With me, I have a special guest. I have the 7-inch daredevil himself from YouTube and Facebook, Mr. Vince. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you, William?
Oh, pretty awesome. Now, it's come to my understanding that you have a rather large Evel Knievel collection.
Yeah, I did. I sold the majority of it off in 2015, but I kept the primary pieces like the Silverhide jumper, the first issues, Sidewinders, and, you know, the ones that are pretty scarce.
Oh, yeah. I only had 2 of the Evel Knievel toys back then. Of course, I had the original stunt cycle I got back in 74, and also had the dragster with a little pop-out parachute in the back. I loved the dragster. That is such a cool
Oh, yeah, so did I. I used to use that in my shows. My nephew used to chase all the toys. He loved the dragster. Yeah, if you get a chance, look at it on YouTube. He's pretty crazy jumping around after that thing.
Oh, yeah, I've watched some of your videos on your YouTube channel showing some of your stunts you've done with the little 7-inch daredevil. And it's really impressive what you can do with that bike. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's that kind of came about kind of in a weird way. I started collecting in, I guess, '04, and I was kind of new at it, and I ended up picking up some real junkers. You know, they weren't collectible, so I thought, well, what the heck am I going to do with these? And the kids were always curious about how it was, how it ran, so I cleaned one up, oiled it up, and made some ramps, and we went one afternoon and was jumping it. Well, one boy, he says, I wonder if it can jump a car. So I pulled my car into the middle of the ramps, and by gosh, it jumped it. So that's pretty much the birth of 7 right there.
That's pretty much I think every kid did with their stunt cycles growing up. I remember, I was jumping all sorts of stuff with my stunt cycle. I was jumping my dad, jumping our dog, jumping the lawnmower, jumping the fence, all kinds of stuff, making different types of ramps to try to get more height out of them. And, one of the cool things I liked about the stunt cycle, the original one, was it would do some really incredible stuff. Like, for example, if you landed and it would hit like a hole or something in the ground where it would compress the front fork, it would flip over, it would do a somersault, laying back on its wheels and keep on going.
Yeah, those toys were pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have batteries or anything, and it was very it was a big interactive toy. I mean, there's just no limit to what your imagination could make that do.
No, it was a really, really great toy. I remember getting mine back in 74 for Christmas. I remember seeing, advertisements for it in the comic books I was reading, and I saw the TV commercials. And I guess my parents tried to get it before me in 73, but they were pretty much sold out everywhere. I guess they were the hot toy for that year. So I got one a year later than, my friends had one already. So we played with it quite a bit. But yeah, that was probably the best toy I remember receiving for Christmas. When did you get your first stunt cycle?
Oh boy, I think I know it was Christmas. I think it was 73.
Ooh, you were one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, it was one of the chrome fork with the black inlay. I wish I still had.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's gone with time now. But when I got it, I didn't know who Evel Knievel was at that point. I didn't know that he was a real, human being.
Oh yeah.
Just a toy, but I loved the toy, and it was probably later later on that year, my dad always watched Wide World of Sports, and he was jumping that day.
Yep.
And I was just, holy crap, that's my toy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's when I finally realized that this is a real man behind this toy, and I have been a fan ever since.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching Evel Knievel on the ABC Wide World of Sports growing up, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted this toy so bad when I finally got one. Do you remember was there any particular stunt that he did that you would say is your favorite?
Well, I think I have a lot of favorites, but if I had to pick maybe one or two, the Caesar's Palace jump, the footage of that crash,
yeah,
that's probably what put Evel on the map right there. It wasn't that he made it; it's that he got so crushed in that impact, and he got back up and went at it again.
Yep.
I think that was the point where he became immortal. You know?
I remember that jump.
I'd say Kings Island, the comeback after the crash in Wembley in '75. You know, he had a broken pelvis, and he was messed up. And probably, 8 or 9 months later, he went to Kings Island, Ohio, and jumped 14 Greyhounds. So, I mean, who does that? I mean, who gets back up after something like that and goes at it again? It just boggles my mind. The guy had to have nerves of steel.
Oh, yeah, he had to. My favorite jump that he attempted was the Snake River Canyon jump. That combined my love of him and rockets in one. So, even though he didn't quite make it, that was an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the first times Evel was actually scared.
Yeah.
Or concerned, as he would like to call it. Yeah. He's very concerned. But watching his interview before that jump, which you can find online, he was just shaking. My God, his nerves were just giving him up, you know.
He was definitely
feeling it.
He was probably hitting that bourbon in that swagger stick quite a bit.
Maybe. I know I sure would, because I wouldn't climb in that thing for nothing. I just wouldn't do it.
Heck no. So, what other stuntmen have you seen over the years that's become another favorite of yours besides Evel Knievel?
I've met Robbie, Evel's son.
Oh yes.
Bob Gill, the Florida Flyer.
Yes.
I met him several years ago, and now we're pretty good friends. And he comes and visits at least once a year, and we hang out for a week or two, and we do jumps together, and so it's pretty fun. I've helped Doug Danger out at some of his local shows, where setting up the ramps and stuff. I've met Tom Bryan and Wild Dave Whitling.
Wow.
I haven't met him yet, but Henry the Pitbull Rife. He's an ATV daredevil, or was. He retired, he says. I don't believe it for 1 minute. I bet he comes back. It's in his blood. But he would wear the stars and bars just like Evel did in doing his jumps. I'd like to meet him in person one day, but we've been friends on Facebook for years.
Oh, that's cool. Now, you actually have a little custom motorcycle dedicated to Bob Gill, don't you?
Yes. I kind of switched out the Evel paint schemes, which I still have them. I just did other cycles. And in a tribute to Bob Gill.
That's awesome. Yeah, I watched some of his stunts on YouTube coming up to this episode of recording, and wow, he did some really incredible stuff.
Yeah, he was one of the first daredevils that was jumping ramp to ground at that kind of distance. Just unbelievable. I asked him many times, just how did you take that impact? And he just held on. Of course, he was a young man at the time, stuff bent before it broke. But Yeah, he did some incredible leaps with that motorcycle.
Yeah, the hardest one I remember seeing that was hard to watch is when he tried to jump that river or whatever, that creek, and he landed right into the bank.
Yeah, that was 74. His regular ramp guy, I guess, had to go home for family reasons, and anyhow, they got her set up, and apparently when they set it up, the ramp was kind of tilted forward more, not giving Bob enough lift. And that wasn't factored in, and by God, he just missed that. He didn't miss that by much.
Oh.
You know, if he'd have had a little more lift on that lip of that ramp,
yep,
you know, that would have been it. Because he was coming in good. The bike had good attitude to it, and it's just unfortunate what happened.
Yeah, it really was. Now, you've done a few shows with the little 7-inch Daredevil. Do you have any memorable moments or any funny stories about that's happened at one of your shows you've done with your little motorcycle?
Yeah, I got one I wish I could take back. You know, I've performed at Evel Knievel Days, I think 4 times. I've done Harley-Davidson dealerships,
Wow.
many festivals and venues and businesses locally. I've also done them for the Harley-Davidson Museum in Wisconsin. But the one was a local show for like a Dairy Queen. I can't remember it was called The Dugout. And they were like a Dairy Queen. So we had done a show. And at the end, typically I'd let the kids come play with the toys. I had extra toys there that, you know, kind of bring them into the fold so they know how cool this toy was, right?
Yeah.
And so I finished the show, and I said, is there anybody out there that wants to wind one off? And the crowd went silent, and then it was just an outburst of laughter. And I'm like, oh, God, that ain't what I meant, you know? Yeah, well, I never lived that one down. Every time somebody that sees me remembers that day brings that up.
Oh, we need a T-shirt with that on it.
Yeah, there you go.
Evel Knievel Stunt Cycler. Want to wind one off?
Yeah.
Courtesy of the 7-inch Daredevil. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the furthest you ever have gotten your stunt cycle to jump?
23 feet, 3 inches.
Holy cow.
Ramp to ramp over for him it was a ravine. For us it was a very large ditch. You know. Could be 70 feet to the floor for him.
Now,
yeah, that took only 2 takes.
Wow.
And nailed it. It was rough terrain. I had to build runways and try to level the runways out because you can't control these once they leave the Energizer. It's a straight shot, and if you can't aim that thing, you may as well just hang it up. You got to get back so far to get the speed up. I see a lot of people with this new one. They're 4 feet, 3 feet from the ramp, and then they're disappointed that it's not jumping far.
It's not up to
well,
speed.
Just like anything, a real daredevil don't start a couple feet from the launch ramp and tries to jump 20 cars. He gets back and he builds up speed. That's what you got to do, and it just drives me nuts watching some of these amateurs.
Well, yeah, you know, if you watch your videos, you show a really good method of getting your bike to perform the best. How you got everything set up, how far you're back from the ramp. And, man, you can crank that Energizer. Holy cow.
Yeah, early on, believe this or not, early on, I never liked to have myself on video.
Yeah.
So I would be out of frame most of the time winding the toy up. I started getting accused of using a high-speed drill. No kidding, because my stunt cycles, what I do to them with the bushings, and I rebalance stuff and I file gears. I think everything perfect. You can hardly hear it running. Just when you spin it by hand, you can't even hear it. But when you energize that thing, and I get this pitch that no one else has. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've noticed it.
Distinct sound to my stunt cycles.
Yep. It's very
distinct.
distinct.
I don't use a drill. I'm just good at winding them off.
But yeah, that's half the fun of having a toy like this is you really get into it and you start thinking, what can I do to make it perform even better? And you went above and beyond doing all kinds of different mods, and it really shows on how well the stunt cycles perform doing these different kind of mods and everything. I mean,
Exactly.
It's really incredible.
It is. It is. I can't believe the performance I get out of them. No, there's other things. I've had special gears made.
Yep.
Different weights. I play with different gyro weights and stuff like that. I swap them back and forth, trying to figure out what gives me the best.
I mean, that's
the best performance, of course. But it's no different than back in the good old days when someone would buy a Chevy stock from the dealer. They take her home, stab a cam in it, headers. It's not. It's no different. Mine's on a smaller scale and a little bit more budget worthy.
Well, now, I don't know who liked my stunt cycle toy more than me on that Christmas day. I don't know if it was myself or my dad. My dad messed with just as much as I did. And he actually took my bike apart and did some stuff to it to make it perform better. And, man, I was the envy of the neighborhood because my bike could do stuff that nobody else's bike would. I mean, it was really incredible.
It doesn't take much to tweak them.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, cleaning them and oiling them is one of the first things you should do.
Yes. And you got a great video on how to drill the holes in the newest one to get access points to the oiling things that I watched. That was great.
Yeah, this new release is definitely going to need some help with that because I ran a couple of them with tests and I didn't oil them, and I literally melted the gyro pin inside the bike. So it melted. It took the hole that the pin runs through and ovaled it out to where the gears wouldn't mesh anymore, and you couldn't do. I have since put bushings in it.
Yep, I was just thinking that. I was thinking about doing the same thing to my bike, is put a bushing in it.
Yeah, there's just it's harder than it sounds because you got to modify the weight too, because when they redid this weight, they didn't copy ideals at all. In fact, I don't even think they had a mold for the original.
That's unfortunate. I would love to have the original one again.
Yeah, it's true, but I tell you what, this a lot of people don't like this trail bike. It came out in '75. It's almost a spot on, dead on. They're using the same molds from '70.
Yeah.
The forks are different, but I tell you what, there's some good performance potential in this bike.
Yes.
And it's a little bit lighter, and I think once I start really messing with one, we're going to just see how far that thing goes.
Oh, that's going to be so cool to see what you can do with that bike with your modifications.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Did you ever mess with any of the other releases, like the one from Playing Mantis or the Poof Slinky ones?
Yeah, I've owned a Poof Slinky. It was part of my collection. I never jumped one. I did a lot of repairs for people. They're prone to breaking.
That's what I've heard.
The handlebars and the forks snap off. It's a lost cause. If you have one and you want to keep it, just leave it on the shelf, because go buy California Creations bike. The Pooh Slinky was, oh my God, it was just the most awful rendition. They redid the stunt cycle, the actual, the white one.
Yeah.
But it had no steel frame in it. It had this little cheap rubbery plastic case with this crappy gyro that wobbled. So I called it the death wobble. You would wind it up, and my God, if you got 6 feet, you were fortunate. It just wouldn't run.
Really?
And you wouldn't believe how many of them, when those come out in, I think, '06, and then they sent out a Daredevil set that had Robbie and Evil in, I think, '07.
Yep, I remember
you got
that one.
2 bikes and all that, right?
Yeah.
I was having people from England, Australia, they were sending me their bikes to convert them. And what I did, I had to go in there and cut up some of the stuff inside that chrome bike to make a 70s steel-framed stunt cycle fit inside of it.
Wow.
And so got her put together, buttoned her up, and those are some of the best performing Pooh Slinkies out there.
How great would it be to be able to get a reissue of the original bike with the actual metal frame inside?
It would be.
That would be awesome.
I spoke with the owner of California Creations about some things, and he was telling me when they got the molds, that the stamp for the frames and stuff was in another warehouse.
Oh.
But the guy that was selling it, something happened with the IRS, and they put a lien on it, and they seized. So they're still, it most likely got sold. So they're in search of it. They're trying to find it. But right now, the trail bike stunt cycle is your best option. And I tell you what, for the money, it's cheaper than it was if you go by the inflation rate.
Yes.
Than it was in 73, 74, 75.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bang for the buck there.
Yeah.
And it won't take much to make it a great running bike. And I mean, if you guys are, having no luck with it and it's messing up on you, you can always send it to me. I'll fix that thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I've been really happy with the re-release that California Creations has done. I've seen the Poof Slinkies and the Playing Mantis ones on the shelves at toy stores back then, but I never picked one up because it didn't look quite right to me, which I'm glad I didn't now. But when I saw this California Creation one coming out, I was pretty excited for it. And I got to say, their customer service is excellent.
Yeah, Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy is phenomenal.
He is on top of it.
Holy cow.
Great guy.
I just happened to mention that one of my bikes had a real bad wobble in the back, and bam, I got contacted immediately. He goes, "Hey, we'll send you another bike. What's your address?" I'm like, holy crap.
Yep.
That was fast.
Yep. They really want this to work. And I really want it to work too, because if this makes it, there's a possibility of more. They can secure those stamps for them frames. Let's bring that stunt cycle back.
Oh my gosh, I would be all over that in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I would too.
Oh man. Well, it would have been cool if they would have included a little ramp with this thing. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Well, Rudy had me design a prototype for one that they could fold up.
Oh.
And I put one together and sent him some pictures, and he sent me some bikes and parts, and
Oh wow.
Scratching my back, and I'm scratching his, and so hopefully they'll be. I don't know whether it would be sold with the bike or sold separately or whatever, but they're looking into producing a ramp.
Well, you could make another little box set that has the stunt ramp and maybe some barrels in it or something like that, and some kind of thing like that. A little accessory pack you can buy, like they used to do back in the day, with the different Evel Knievel outfits and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. I'd buy one.
Sure, I would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Or I'd take one of the two. So
now, besides the stunt cycle itself, what would be your second most favorite toy in the Evel Knievel line?
I like the Super Jet cycle.
See, I've never seen one of those actually run. Tell me about that.
Oh well,
cycle.
If you know what it looks like, I'll describe it for people who don't. It's kind of long bike. It has low slung bars. Evel has to pretty much lay on the tank. It has two pods that are translucent red on the sides. You would put Zippo cigarette lighter flints down in it, and when you energize it, it would spark.
Oh wow!
If you look on YouTube on my Facebook page for 7-inch Daredevil, I jumped one of them. It's called I think it's called the Caesars or the Bird Bath Palace jump. It was about a 12-foot jump. It's hard to get those bricks to fly. They don't go much more than 10 or 12 feet, and that's on a good hammer.
Wow. So they weigh quite a bit more than the original stunt cycle.
Oh, yeah. They're not balanced for jumping, I can tell you that.
This is mainly for show?
Well, I mean, if you keep it on the ground, turn the lights out, it's pretty darn cool.
In your collection, how many custom bikes do you have versus the original bikes?
Oh boy.
Just rough estimate, how many customs you think you have?
I think I have 18 or 20 customs.
Wow.
I usually take 10 or so with me when I do shows, because you never know. I mean,
never know, yeah.
They're prone to breaking just like anything else. So I used to go with 4, and I would take tools with me, a mini press and everything, so I could do gear repairs or whatever. But I've just gotten so good with the internals now, I don't break down anymore. And
that's cool.
So I just drag them with me just in case, and so the show continues. The factory ones, I probably have about 8 or 9 of them in pretty decent shape. I have out of box, with box, 2 first issues stunt cycles. Oh. I have a box silver high jumper that has not been opened, and one that has been opened.
Wow.
I would say probably about 8 or 10, factory bikes.
Wow, that is awesome. What do you think of the Evel Knievel figurine that comes with the new California Creations bike compared to the Poof Slinky and the Playing Mantis and the original?
Oh, well, let's the Playing Mantis. Don't even show me that. That's awful. I don't know who designed that, but they should be taken out back and beat with a stick. Just the Poof Slinky, the body was great on it. The head sculpt was awful. So I just swapped the heads out. All my jumpers, all the jumpers I have that I do shows with are all Poof Slinky bodies, and with vintage heads on them.
Wow.
The California Creations one, the head is so small the helmet flies off.
I've noticed that on mine.
And plus he's wearing lipstick, and I don't know why.
I noticed that too.
So anyhow, I went to swap one of those California Creations heads off, and I literally broke the head off the body. It's not designed the same. It doesn't have the same head stock as the vintage or the Poof Slinky.
It's a little bit
Poof
different.
Slinky pretty much followed the same pattern as the vintage one. You're pretty fortunate if you can find a vintage one without broken wires. That's primarily the reason I went to the Poof.
Okay.
They had good bodies, and just swapped the heads out.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been using like a little piece of tape on top of mine's head to keep his helmet on inside.
Yeah.
Double stick tape. Yeah.
Yeah, I hot glued mine on.
It ain't never coming off.
Well, it might, but it depends on how hard he hits, I guess. But
I mean, that was another aspect to this toy, was besides getting this cool motorcycle that was awesome on its own, you got that figurine of Evel Knievel that you can put in different poses on your bike to make him do different stunts. And you can actually recreate some of the crashes with this guy flying off the motorcycle, flying through the air. His helmet goes one way, he goes the other way. I mean, I think that was half the fun entertainment of this bike, was watching that figurine go flying off of it.
Yeah. I generally try to keep him on the bike.
Yes.
But sometimes it's not easy, because at really long distance jumps at high speed, that's pretty good impact. Sometimes he does come off, but I have reactive ramps now.
Reactive ramps?
Away with the wood. They're all aluminum.
Whoa.
The lander, if you watch some of my jumps in slow motion, you can see it taking up all the shock. It just flexes with the landing. So these bikes don't have shocks on them.
No.
So, I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't busted so many cycles and shows anymore.
What a great idea! I didn't even think about that. That's a good idea.
And to all you rookies out there, you got to hit the landing ramp.
The landing ramp.
You can't jump from a 3-foot tall ramp and land on pavement and think your bike's going to last. It just isn't.
It's going to do it.
No.
Yeah, I've been seeing some incredible jumps by people with this California Creations bike on the Evel Knievel Toys Facebook page. There are some very creative people out there.
Yeah, there's some there's a lot of gimmick jumps. I'll say that. One of my favorites. I don't know who did it, but they jumped and they landed on a mini trampoline and bounced off and landed and kept on going.
Oh, I saw that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that one. That was I called it the Ramp the Tramp.
Ramp the Tramp.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do you still do any 7-inch Daredevil shows now, or?
Well, you know, with this virus lurking around, apparently, there's no point in booking anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I typically try to do local stuff. I really haven't been into the traveling part that much. It's just too exhausting and expensive. And
yeah.
But I like doing local shows. We'll do first businesses and things of that nature. But everybody right now here where I'm at in Western PA, there's just nothing happening because of COVID.
That's true.
So,
have you been to any big toy shows and do anything, or?
No, I've never done them. I've done stuff at the malls and stuff during Toys for Tots drives and stuff.
Oh, cool!
You know,
awesome.
Way back in the beginning. There was a time where all I did this for was with the kids, right?
Yeah.
Had no intentions of doing shows for anyone. I just video and put them on, let people get a laugh out of them or whatnot. But back in 2010, the curator of the Harley-Davidson Museum contacted me, and somehow got my number, called me, and I hung up on him because I figured it was somebody. I figured it was somebody just bullshitting me, and so I ended up getting an email message from a friend. He goes, "The curators of the Evel Knievel Museum is trying to contact you about getting your collection there." So I'm like, crap. So anyhow, we finally hooked up, and he wanted to come out and see my collection and blah, blah, blah. So he flew out, went through my collection, and I had a separate shelf that I had 7-inch Daredevil on, all my custom bikes and the vans and stuff. And he walked past it, and he goes, "I've never seen these ones before." I said, "They're custom. They're 7-inch. I call it 7-inch Daredevil." And he goes, "Really?" And I said, "Well, I have a DVD of all my jumps on it if you want to watch it." So we grabbed a beer, sat in the living room, watched this, and he looked at me and he goes, "Oh my God, we got to have this at the museum." So
wow,
that's where that started. I don't know how many shows at the museum. And the very first show I ever did in front of a crowd, it was on bike night. Of all the time,
oh my gosh,
I was already nervous. And I look around the corner, and when they were introducing 7, there were so many bikers, like I couldn't see where they ended.
Oh my gosh!
So most of them wouldn't be able to see it because they were so far back in, but they were up there. And so I went out, and I tell you what, it's just, I don't know how I did it, but I just block everybody out. I don't hear them, see them. I just get the job done.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of pretty successful jumps. I think I jumped over 6 or 7 brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycles, which also had me nervous because put a dent in the tank or whatever. But the curator said, "Don't worry about it. These ones they don't even have serial numbers. They'll be destroyed." So, okay.
Oh, okay.
I bounce off of one, I will. So we did that, and after that was over, I'm thinking, okay, I just embarrassed myself. I'm a 40-some-year-old man playing with a toy in front of all these bikers. Next thing you know, I get some of the meanest-looking bikers coming up to me, and I thought, shit, here we go. They're going to start riding my ass, right? And the dude gets this big smile on his toothless face, and he says, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Can I try it?" And I had these bikers playing with these toys. So at that moment, I thought, you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
You know, because it brings happiness to
Yes.
a lot of people. And I know there's other people out there that just hate it. And they call me a child or whatever for doing. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, don't worry about that kind of stuff.
There's more for than there are against, and that's just what I go with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had mine out outside of my driveway, messed around with it. And there's a couple kids live down the block from me, and they saw it running and jumping, and they were just ecstatic about this bike. They didn't want to know where to get one, and I mean, they were just all excited about it. So, you know, it does bring a lot of happiness.
It does.
Seeing
this
thing.
These kids nowadays probably could use something like this. This sitting at home, playing on your computer, playing video games.
Yeah.
It's not bad. We're going to have a diabetes rate like you won't believe in probably another 10 years if they keep going at this rate. They got to get outside and do something.
Yeah, this is a great toy to take outside and jump stuff with.
It's endless. It's endless what you can think up. You know? You know, I mean, I used to run out of ideas when I was a kid, and I'd wind it up, stick it in my sister's hair. You know? My mother would just be livid. She'd have to cut it out, you know, and then I wasn't allowed to have my stunt cycle. You know, it's just...
Oh, man.
But I've jumped so many darn things, different things. I'm running out of ideas, you know. But I'm getting some ideas with some of these very creative jumps I'm seeing on Facebook. You know,
well, there you go. You can create some content for your YouTube channel, do some of these stunts.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I only had my Evel Knievel guy for a couple years. I lost him in a leaf pile fire. I was trying to jump. My dad and I was out, you know, burning leaves. Had this big, huge pile of leaves that we had on fire. I was like, you know, I can jump that. So I got my Evel Knievel set up and everything like that. My dad's like, don't you do it. It's not going to make it. I wound it up. Off it goes. He goes flying through the air right into the leaf pile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's very flammable.
I guess so.
My dad goes, well, he ain't going to get another one. I'm like, oh, man. So all I had to play around with was my dragster. So I jumped it quite a bit. And I lost my dragster in the early 80s when I put a little C motor rocket engine on it.
Oh,
and
wow.
it went right into the side of the house and just shattered into 100 pieces.
Oh, geez. Yeah, but it was fun, right?
Oh, it was the most coolest thing I've ever seen. That thing shot across the driveway, nice and straight, super fast. Hit a rock, did a 45-degree turn right into the side of the house, and pieces went everywhere.
Did you see mine and Mad Max Silvis's rocket car jump a couple years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, I think, 2 D9 motors in that one.
Oh, I was wondering what you had in that thing.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I thought for sure it would have flew a little straighter, but it just barrel rolled that car in the air.
Yes.
It made it, though. That was a pretty good distance across that creek, and I sure in the heck wasn't going in after it.
No.
It had to have been negative 26 with the wind chill that day. It was so stinking cold. That's more, I think, is going to be a summertime attempt if we ever do it again.
Oh, yeah. So right now you got a YouTube channel called 7-Inch Daredevil, correct?
Yes.
And you got a Facebook page by the same name.
Yes.
Do you have a Twitter?
No, I don't.
You got Instagram?
Nope.
So basically the best place to find you is going to be on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah, just type in 7-Inch Daredevil. You can spell the 7, or you can use the number 7. It'll bring you right to it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to talk about the Evel Knievel Stunt Cycle and all this good stuff. Really appreciate it.
Hey, before you go, I want to give a shout-out to my girl over in England.
Okay.
Jackie Robbins.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Jackie. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is. We've been friends, oh, my God, for 15 years.
She's one of the moderators on Evel Knievel Toys, isn't she?
Yes.
I thought she was.
She made that page, yeah.
Yeah, what a great page. I mean, there's so much cool stuff going on over there, these different stunts, talking about the new California Creations bike, some old stuff's on there, some really great Evel Knievel memorabilia has been popping up on there. It's a great Facebook group to go check out.
It is. It's got a lot of stuff going on there. That's for sure.
So until next time, everyone, let's go wind one out.
Hey, thanks.
Catch you later, man.
Bye.